Hello, and welcome to another episode of Colin Reads. Today I will be reciting, rather than reading, from memory, Edgar Allan Poe's poem, The Raven. Enjoy! Once, upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, rapping at my chamber door. Merely this, and nothing more. Distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now to still the beating of my heart I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so softly you came tapping, and so gently you came rapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more." Long into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, daring, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the darkness was unbroken, and the silence gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore." This I whispered, and the darkness echoed back the word, "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what they're at this, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, and with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven, of the saintly days of yore. Excuse me. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped nor stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door. Perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door. Perched, and sat, and nothing more. And this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I'd said, "art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is, on the night's Plutonian shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marvelled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast above the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, "Doubtless," said I, "what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore of never, nevermore." But the raven, still beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door, and upon the velvet sinking I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this ghastly, grim, ungainly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, though no syllable expressing, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burn into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight guarded o'er, but whose velvet violet lining she shall press. Ah, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swept by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he has sent thee respite, and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still if bird or devil, whether tempest cast thee, or whether tempest cast thee here ashore. Desolate, yet all undaunted, on the desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me, truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still of bird or devil, by that heaven which bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aidenn it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels named Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels named Lenore? Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked, upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul has spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting, on the pallid bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming casts a shadow o'er the floor. And my soul, from out that shadow that lies floating o'er the floor, shall be lifted, nevermore. Well, I hope you enjoyed Mr. Poe's poem almost as much as I enjoy reading it to you. Fun fact about Edgar Allan Poe: while Edgar is obviously famed for his poetry and his horror stories, he also created mystery stories, specifically the detective mystery story, with his character Auguste Dupin, who then served as the basis, or inspiration, for Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's character Sherlock Holmes. So, now you know. Our quote of the day today comes from Ezra Pound, who once said, "Great literature is simply language charged with meaning to the utmost possible degree." Well said, Miss Ezra. Or Miss Pound. Whichever she would prefer. I don't know. In any case, I have been Colin. This has been Colin Reads. Thank you for joining me. Goodbye.